Good evening, all. I could see the room is filled with full of cash because of all finance professionals and all the CFOs and the leaders in the finance community. Without cash, nothing happens because even in sustainability, we all know the 3 Ps, people, planet, and profit. The profit is equally important to take care of people and the planet. So with that context, I would like to take a perception poll. No right or wrong answer. Just to get a perception like how many of the leaders over here feel, I will give 3 options. How much role a CFO has need to play or has the potential to play in the term sustainability or ESG. I'll tell 3 percentages. You can raise hands, whatever you feel. 33%. Acha, nobody feels 33%. So how much percentage? 67%? So majority of you are raising hands, 67%. And I will leave it here because I got my answer. Because there is no right or wrong answer. What I mean to say is that anything 2/3 is a very large number. That is why we just want to set that context like CFO has a much larger role to play now in this, the way the sustainability and ESG has evolved. And in today's world of corporate governance and the social, the 3 Ps what we discussed, CFOs are integral part of it, which all of you are leading it. I just want to set that context and move to the leaders who are really practicing it from a CFO leadership angle. I just wanted to start asking the question motivated by the previous speaker, Mr. Samir. So many slides on modern day CFO, the responsibilities, the accountabilities, the evolution of a CFO. Seeing all those things, I am really naturally getting one question like, to do sustainability and ESG, the CFO has the time to think about it?
No, thank you very much. I feel elated that I have been invited, so thank you very much, NetNext. I have been really watching and noticing the role of a CFO. I have been working for almost 30 years now, and this is my 30th year into the corporate world. I could make out very clearly that the evolution of CFO has taken a very simple trajectory of from an accounting matching, batching to responsible citizen as well as part of CFO in where he has to report to the board. And the role of a CFO is also becoming very critical in terms of investor relations, attracting the investment into the business. So CFO, as it has evolved in the last 20-30 years, as I've seen in my role, is very clearly becoming amenable to an ESG expert, where he's working along with the supply chain, production, VO modeling on manufacturing, working along with the marketing, working along with the legal and compliances function. And therefore, CFO becomes a pivotal role to make sure that when he is stable on the board and is stable in the position, is in a position to contribute to the sustainability effort which an organization is carrying out for 10 to 100 years ahead of time. So very clearly, CFO has to carry out the vision, need to ensure that the business strategies are well connected to the ESG strategies as well, and bring those tools and resources from other functions to ensure that the business starts approaching toward the sustainable method of working along in the business.
Thank you. That's really heartening, and that motivates me to ask the next question. From the another leader, how do you take it forward in your organization? Till now, could you share some lights with that type of time, what you could spend, what is your, how you are able to contribute for the ESG journey and some of the major achievements which you could achieve as a team?
See, 3M as a company, it's a research and development company, I should say. It's science applied to life, how we can make lives better is the kind of theme in which the company is formed. So we have been having all these environmental protection, sustainability goals for a longer time, but now it is even more focused. Thrust is there. So even our products, we are kind of doing our products where we are able to reduce the plastic content in that. And then we also have programs where we want to reduce the water usage of water. and then giving quality water to the environment. So there are so many initiatives and goals that we have adopted in our company, and also zero emission after by 2050, you know, and we have certain timelines by which we want to reduce the percentage of carbon dioxide emission into the air and have more green gases that will happen. So that is how we have very clear set targets and timelines with which the entire company works, and we support that, because also use of renewable energy where we have to reduce the electricity content in that. Everywhere we have a very clear set targets and timelines, and we are only advancing it every year.
That's great. Very interesting, and that's a lot of a formal way of approach, and with frameworks and the teams getting collaborated.
And even for the products, we kind of we have more than 60,000 products. So even the products that we give it to our customers, how can we help our customers able to use cleaner and better products?
Thank you, and that's a very large task. Thank you for elaborating that. I would like to ask you, from your long experience of having multiple companies, listed, unlisted companies, and the startup experience, what also you are now leading, how do you, see the difference between a formal approach in a listed entity, and how sustainability is important for a startup? Who are your key stakeholders who expect you to deliver that? And what is the world of sustainability in startup domain?
No, thank you for the question. The ESG and the sustainability for a finance function or a finance firm does not come naturally. You have to really enforce that discipline when you are sitting in a manufacturing setup and you have understanding of the community within which your business is really thriving. You start feeling from your mindset that you have to start contributing to it. While you may have a myriad of things impacting your day-to-day routines, which is your direct and indirect taxes, compliances, FP&A, business finance, and various other regulatory challenges which you have to grapple with on a day-to-day basis. But when you have to start understanding that your manufacturing setup, which is actually producing those goods and services which can be catered to the community at large, right, you start becoming more responsible. So for me, when I used to work for Coca-Cola or AB InBev or Procter & Gamble or P&G, I could see very clearly that the corporate affairs department, to whom I was serving as a finance support function, was trying to find some support, because at that moment of time, when 2009, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs had released a national voluntary guidelines that for 100 companies to declare voluntarily, are you really becoming sustainable? That moment of time, SAB Miller, which is AB InBev acquired entity, enrolled me into corporate affairs department and said, Anil, can you really become a thread to the necklace of the organization and understand that if we have to invest in CSR activities and sustainability for around $400,000, how are you going to do it, right? And I said, because the industry at large in that business was working together, which is, DIGOs of the world, CIPC, All India Brewers Association, UB, Carlsberg. They said that, okay, we will all contribute to that. We will work together to help the community at large in which our manufacturing facilities are situated. But is that money more important, or the efforts are more important? And I think in all our cohesive effort, I said, it is not about the size of the money which is important at this moment. It is about the community which is sitting around our manufacturing facilities. Are they really getting benefited because we are creating employment for them? But are we serving them because they are from villages and we have far-flung locations of our manufacturing facilities? Are we adopting certain schools? Are we giving them furnitures? Are we giving them books and periodicals? Are we painting their schools? Are we giving them education? Are we giving to their families the spent grain which is left out of the barleys, which can become a fodder to their buffaloes, right? If those efforts can really become an ecosystem within the business, I believe that we are doing the right thing. And probably we don't need money for that, right? Money is secondary to that fact. And therefore, from a very established manufacturing organizations and MNCs, I could learn that while you have a very clear global mandate on CSR at that time, which catapulted into now the environment, social and governance aspect of business, the startup business is yet to evolve, right? Because all the 2 lakh, 3 lakh startups in India are growing and mushrooming, but their main focus is not very centric to the purpose behind profit. And therefore, coming from 20 to 25 years in established MNC to last 6 to 7 years in startup ecosystem, where CFO has to take an initiative out of his experience to convince the board, especially the investors and the lead partners who are investing, and creating a fund for the investors, that if we have to really thrive along with the community and we are providing a very clear product market fitment of our product for the consumers at large, we have to start serving the community as well, right? Within the organization, for a startup, it is all about sociability and governance. Outside, it is all about community, and therefore that makes a family complete, right? And therefore, my role within the startup community and business is that we have to start reporting to the foreign investors, which is from Belgium or from Malaysia or Singapore, that we are doing our bit to serve the community at large, and therefore, whether it is in terms of net zero target, whether it is in terms of biodiversity, whether it is in terms of making your zero dust-free manufacturing facility, to ensuring that we use water from 10 HL to 10 HL, from 2.5 HL to HL, which is reducing the entire water usage, to also creating renewable energy through wind or solar, to balance the balance sheet of the business, right? It is not about financial balance sheet. It is, I call it, a very clearly human balance sheet, right? And that is what is a challenge. I think with the CFOs who are now thronging and becoming more experienced and are learning from the past habits of only being accountants to very clearly the value creators, I think there the role of value creative ideas come from a CFO these days, and that is changing rapidly. And therefore, I am also in any way contributing to the startup ecosystem as well.
Great. Thank you, both of you. One thing I just want to confess over here. In the break, somebody asked me, today's last agenda is CFO's role in sustainability. Is that really a last on the table for CFO? With what I hear from both of you, it's on almost a core priority, and then, the type of contribution, what you're doing. Whoever asked me a question would have got clarified that now it's not a last in the agenda, it's the top on the agenda. So that comes to me, that brings me to the next question, such a large organization, several thousand products. What are your key challenges? I'm sure in any journey there will be challenges, and would you like to share some of the challenges and how you cope up with that?
Yeah, so if you see the challenges, especially in ESG perspective, first one is it's not a challenge, but then if you see the regulatory environment. So now the government is almost saying if you're a listed entity and within the first 250 market cap, already they had an assurance that will be done and reported on ESG parameters. There are certain parameters to be followed, and we come in the next slot. We are 171 in our market cap. So this year we will have a regulatory requirement of having an assurance done on various parameters, like how do you manage your energy, how do you manage your water, and then waste management, and then again on the social side, your safety of the employees, the diversity. So there are so many other aspects that are there. About 45 KPIs will be measured by the assurance auditors. So therefore, that is going to be a challenge, because when you do a voluntary reporting, that's a little bit different, because you're just believing that this is what it is, and also based on whatever records you have, you make a voluntary reporting. But when it comes to assurance, then you are really prepared an assurance to be done by a statutory auditor. So therefore, you have to gear up to the end. They've also given the quantitative measurement criteria that needs to be fulfilled for each of these KPIs. So therefore, it will be like a regular audit of a non-financial data, and there will also be a walkthrough between, if you say I've invested in energy and renewable energy, and therefore my consumption, electricity consumption should be lesser. So how does it translate in your financial books? Are you seeing the cost reductions there? So there should be also a walkthrough between what you're reporting here and what translates into your financial data. So that's going to be, and there is a very less limited time for you to test and get audited. So that is the challenge I see for this year. And so we need to also get into a lot of technical aspects to it and work very closely with the plant and different stakeholders, the EHS and the human resource, to see how are we having our diversity candidates fulfilled and all that. So that is what will be the journey for us this year. And it doesn't stop with the entity itself. So what the regulators are seeing, they are even going beyond the company, and they are going to the value chain partners. For example, how your vendors are following the ESG parameters, even though they are not under audit. So that is how they are kind of making the compliance much bigger. And from the next year onwards, even your vendor should get that assurance audit done. So therefore, even though you are not a listed entity, but still if you are going to work with a listed entity, then you may have to get really ESG prepared and ready, and otherwise your business is at stake, you know, because that's how it's of course a very good opportunity, because of this we are also looking at various products and how can we be more ESG friendly to the customers and help the customers also in different ways to meet their ESG targets. So this way I think we are in the right path, the country is going in the right direction of making an inclusive culture and bringing the larger team into this ESG net. So at the end of the year, we should be, at the end of the day, we should be much faster in zero emission of carbon dioxide. Even though we are having some timelines of 2050, we should kind of advance it much earlier as a country is what I would expect.
Great. I was just, my mind was in the background thinking something about 3 decades back when I started my career in the corporate. The entire learning process I've started, evolved from various stages to the type of contribution what today I'm doing along with the team. The evolution is something which is something extraordinary, even in this field of sustainability and ESG. When I joined that time, some of my fellow trainees had an opportunity to work with the CFO's office. And they perceived at that point of time, I feel like that was one position in the entire company which says maximum no's. But actually over the period of the time, what they have understood is the CFO function actually says maximum yes in the organization. That's how the organization grows. So from that way of adding value to the organization's growth, now setting it for the society dimensions, the product dimension, people dimension, and it's more of this people, planet and profit. I think at least I can confidently say 2 Ps are already passionately being seen by the CFOs. And with all these things, if I ask you a common question to both of you, like how do you foresee the future in the ESG as a country, as well as the building the sustainable future? Is there going to be a sustainable transformation going to happen? And how you can foresee a CFO's role as a catalyst to bring everybody together?
See, I would say it's an excellent opportunity for the country also, because if you see, we are going to go away from the petrol, diesel, passenger cars to electric and other forms of things that we will have. So that way every industry is really have to think differently. There are now ESG service providers are really thriving, you know, because they want to understand everything and then start consulting, start working with companies to make things better. And then the plant is again starting to think how they need to make all these sustainable products. Because unless you change, you modify your